There was a very interesting segment on ESPN's Sports Center recently that shed light on a major decision the New York Knicks are facing. According to what's being reported, there's a growing belief that the Knicks might be deliberately holding off on extending Mikal Bridges, and it could all tie back to one name, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Let's break it down. The conversation on SportsCenter suggested that New York's front office is intentionally keeping their options open, just in case Giannis becomes available via trade. The reason? Once you sign a player to an extension, that player becomes ineligible to be traded for at least 60 days. That kind of restriction would complicate any potential blockbuster move, especially one that includes multiple pieces and salary matching. Bridges is the type of player who'd likely be part of a trade package for someone of Giannis's caliber. Right now, Bridges is eligible to sign a 4-year extension worth around $156 million. That's a sizable number, and there are likely teams across the league willing to pay him that amount. While he had a strong showing last season and proved to be a key piece for New York, some around the league believe that price might be a bit steep, given his inconsistency and stretches. The Knicks, for their part, seem to value Bridges, but not enough to lock themselves in just yet. Looking ahead, if Bridges opts to hold off and play out the 2024-25 season, he could become eligible next summer for a 5-year deal pushing close to $300 million. On the flip side, if he were to leave in free agency, the max he could get would be closer to $225 million over 4 years. Exact figures remain uncertain due to fluctuating salary cap projections. Mitchell Robinson is also eligible for an extension, and this is where things get even trickier. The Knicks already have significant money committed to players like Karl-Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, and Josh Hart. While Brunson's team-friendly deal gives the Knicks some flexibility, they're still towing the line when it comes to the league's second apron, a financial threshold that severely limits roster-building tools if crossed. Recent projections from ESPN now suggest the 2026-27 second apron could land around $222 million, slightly lower than previously expected. If the Knicks go ahead and extend both Bridges and Robinson this offseason, their total payroll would likely exceed that limit. That's a big concern, as it would impact everything from signing free agents to completing trades in the future. That financial constraint has led to talk, as reported previously by insiders like Mark Stein, that Bridges may eventually take a team-friendly extension in the mold of Jalen Brunson. Such a move would give New York added flexibility to strengthen the roster and avoid getting crushed by the second apron. However, SportsCenter made it clear that this isn't just about money. According to insider Ian Begley, the Knicks' hesitancy seems more tied to the bigger picture, specifically what happens with Giannis. Begley mentioned that as long as there's any uncertainty surrounding Antetokounmpo's future, teams around the league, including the Knicks, are keeping their cap sheets and trade assets as clean and maneuverable as possible. In short, when, or if, Mikal Bridges signs his extension, it could be a signal that the Giannis sweepstakes are over. Until then, the Knicks appear to be playing the long game, staying flexible, waiting patiently, and preparing for the possibility of landing a true superstar if the opportunity arises. On ESPN's SportsCenter, a major topic of discussion was how the Knicks' strategy around Mikal Bridges might actually be tied to a much bigger name, Giannis Antetokounmpo. According to what was revealed, New York has always had its sights set on landing a generational star like Giannis. He's the kind of player who can immediately turn a strong playoff team into a legitimate title contender. And if you're talking about building a core around Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and potentially Giannis, that's a serious big three. But this is where things get complicated. As pointed out on the program, if the Knicks go ahead and sign Bridges to an extension now, he becomes ineligible to be traded for 6 months. That would take them past the trade deadline, into late January. And let's be honest, Giannis doesn't seem like the type of star who would request a trade mid-season. It's far more likely any move he makes, or signals, would come during the off-season. That's why the Knicks are playing the long game here. They want to keep their options wide open in case a superstar does become available. Bridges could end up being part of a potential blockbuster deal and if he's locked into a fresh extension, that limits their flexibility. At the same time, there's another angle to this. Bridges might be betting on himself. While initial reports suggested he might take a team-friendly deal to help the Knicks build around him, more recent information suggests he's waiting, possibly hoping to cash in with a massive 5-year deal worth close to $300 million next summer. That would only be possible if he declines a deal now and plays out the year. And frankly, the Knicks don't seem in a rush either. There's no major incentive for them to push a deal through today versus a month from now. Whether he signs now or right before the season starts, the effect is the same. He's on the team, but untradeable for 6 months. So unless there's a huge financial gap between what Bridges wants and what the team is offering, say if New York proposes a 3-year, $100 million extension and he declines, there's no urgency. However, if they are far apart in negotiations, then trade conversations could resurface quickly. In fact, according to reporting referenced on SportsCenter, the Knicks have already fielded calls about both Bridges and Mitchell Robinson earlier this summer. And we've seen how this front office handles those situations, like when contract talks with Julius Randle stalled and he ended up being moved to Minnesota. So it's not off the table. And as for Giannis, well, the situation in Milwaukee is far from stable. While no official trade request has come, there's skepticism around the league that he'll commit long-term. The Bucks are no longer seen as a true championship-caliber team. They're strapped for assets, lacking high-end support pieces, and now stuck with dead cap charges from the Damian Lillard fallout, including a $100 million figure that counts against their books, even though he's no longer on the roster. That kind of financial handcuff makes it incredibly difficult to build a contender around Giannis. So the big question becomes, if you're Giannis, do you stay loyal and risk wasting the prime of your career, or do you chase another championship elsewhere? When you look at Milwaukee's current depth, names like Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., Kyle Kuzma, Miles Turner, and others, it's clear they lack the firepower to make a deep playoff run. Solid players? Yes. Championship pieces? Not quite. And no matter how dominant Giannis is individually, he needs legitimate help. That's why SportsCenter closed that segment with this. If Giannis wants another ring, a trade request is on the table. And the Knicks? They're positioning themselves just in case that opportunity comes knocking. Some fans are already dreaming big, thinking about what it would take for the Knicks to land one of the greatest players of this generation. The whispers around the league suggest that if a player like Giannis ever decided to ask out, New York would be right at the top of the list. And the logic behind it? Simple. The Knicks are building a serious contender. Add someone like Giannis to this roster, and the path to a championship becomes very real, very fast. So now, the question shifts to the front office. Is it smarter to swing for the fences and try to make a blockbuster move for a superstar? Or is the better play to double down on the current core, lock in Mikal Bridges with an extension, find a solution for Mitchell Robinson, accept the second apron penalties, and push forward with continuity? There's no easy answer. Both paths come with risk. But one thing is certain. Whatever Leon Rose and the Knicks decide to do, it's going to reshape the franchise's future. The pressure is on to get it right, and the clock is already ticking. Let us know what direction you think New York should take. Should they go all in for a superstar like Giannis? Or is it time to invest in the group they already believe in? One way or another, the next chapter at Madison Square Garden is going to be must-watch.